Biology students, we are on week 25, so this is the presentation that I'm using for the week 25 video assignment, and then I will be doing this in week 25 in my live meeting. My jokes, 3 kinds of people, right? The half-full optimist, the half-empty pessimist, and this glass is dirty, right? So again, and he claims to be Freudian, but he's Jung at heart, right? That we have the difference between our psychodynamic psychologists and those who come after, our psychoanalytic Freud and our psychodynamic psychologists that come, the neo-Freudians as they're called, right? So, all right, just a little fun before we really go on. My husband sent me this. I thought this was very clever in terms of with emotions, thinking about how the 5 basic emotions combine to feel many different things, right? So anger and disgust is hatred, or joy and joy is ecstasy. And I think something that's so important I try with my kids is that when we can label emotions and understand how complex they can be, we're at a place where we can start to understand ourselves better and maybe, I don't like the word control so much, but be working with our emotions to keep us in motion, to move us in the direction we need to go, right? Like we talked last week. So I thought this was fun and I wanted to share it with you. Let's go to our schedule. In week 25, we're wrapping up Unit 4's content. So we're finishing up personality with the trait theories, measuring your personality, there's a little discussion forum on which personality assessment is most valid and reliable. Last year, if I remember correctly, I got a lot of what the AIs thought about this because they're all giving the same answer and the same reasons. Remember, I'm really looking for you to take everything you learned about personality and write this without doing any further research. I just want to know what you think. And I want you to practice discussing validity and reliability because it's very important. The College Board, they used to put personality with intelligence because so much of how we measure personality is how we measure intelligence. There's very similar things when we're talking about, at least when we're talking about trait theories, not so much in the other ways. But do the work, show me what you think. I don't care what the AI thinks. The other thing you're going to work on this week is your personality project. I want to go over that together because you're going to get started in this video assignment today. So you've read all about the different personality theories, and we're going to talk about assessing your own personality. So we're going to do this one in class today, this out of service big 5 that you can work on. There's 3 others, right, that you can do if you would like to. When you're done, I don't want the copy-paste results from these. What I want to see is that you write no more than a page summary of what makes you you. How are you like others? How are you different than others? And in your writing, show me that you're including all the different theories that you learned about. All right, so that's page 1. Page 2, or less, right, could be a paragraph, is write about your perfect significant other in terms of how that person's traits fit in with your traits, right? It's just another way of thinking and rehearsing personality. Remember, when we do these elaborate rehearsal techniques, we're much more likely to remember content than using other forms of memory. So this assignment we're going to get started on today, and you're going to finish by the end of the week. So let's go to, I wanted to remind myself, the other thing I put up here, is that I put all of the stuff from your textbook on reviewing Unit 4, because next week in week 26, we're going to move towards both taking a Unit 4 assessment and doing a cumulative review and practice test. I know as we get closer to the actual exam date, you get a little bit anxious about seeing how you're going to do. And so this will all help us first see what do you need to review from Unit 4, and then what do you need to review from Units 1 through 3 so that you can work on that as we start in week 27 on Unit 5. So I'll talk more about that next week. But just kind of giving, why did I put all this stuff up in week 25 is because next week we finish. So just so we're clear on those things. So close your eyes for a second because I can see on my next slide that I need to move something. So hide your eyes for 1 second so I can move something. so I don't have to redo my video. Keep your eyes closed, keep them closed, keep them closed. Don't peek. Don't peek, don't peek, don't peek. Not yet. Keep them closed. All right, and now we're good. Thank you. So I thought this table was very useful. You might want to add it to your notes. You can write it down or take a screenshot, but it's a very good summary of what we've been doing, right? It talks about the different theories: psychoanalytic, psychodynamic, humanistic. You're going to look at trait theories this week. Social cognitive. It has the key psychologists, right? It has the assumptions from those things, right? So emotional disorders spring from unconscious dynamics. Unconscious and conscious minds interact. Childhood experiences and defense mechanisms are important. This one really gets away because both of these two are often focused on people who are ill. So humanistic is really focusing more on positive psychology, or how healthy people strive to do their best. Trait theories do kind of work into both people who might be sick and people who are not sick, because it's going to look at each one of those. And then social cognitive is really how do our social interactions interact with us to kind of produce who we are. So what I want you to do, I'm going to do first two because you haven't learned these. We're going to look at Big Five today, and you'll look at 16 PF this week. Both of those are trait theories. So pause the video and see, can you move the rest of these where they go? All right. So go ahead and pause and then see if you can associate a theory with the person, or sorry, a personality measurement with the theory, and then I'll fill it in for you. All right, as we go on, I hope you put both the thematic and the Rorschach up here with Freud. Both of these were psychoanalytic. The Rorschach ink blot, because they basically did all of this, they did an image on one side and then folded the paper in half, right? These are always reflections of one another, and then you would describe what you'd see in that, and the psychoanalytic theorist would look for, the development of your id, your ego, your superego. What did they think was going on in your unconscious? And you discuss these things. And the thematic appreciation test was very similar, but it was images. So what do you see, or what do these images make you think about? And these also sometimes were used by the psychodynamics. So it's not as if these were only used by Freud. So these kind of go both ways. Then we have the self-actualization. I hope when you see self-actualization, you think of Maslow. And when you see the true versus the actual self, you think of Rogers, right? Both of those things go with there. The MMPI goes up. It was done up here. Also used sometimes in the traits. Same thing with Myers-Briggs. These both go up here, but they're sometimes they're more investigated, more reliable down here. But the difference is between these ones down here is these are only focused on these stable and enduring characteristics and not about illness. So these aren't going to look to see if you have any mental disorders, whereas the MMPI is going to, and the Myers-Briggs was really done by Jung, so that's why we stick it up here. And the life story is a measure here of social cognitive, kind of how you tell your story and you see everything going on around you. All right, so let's look, let's just review a little bit on Myers-Briggs. Right, Myers-Briggs really breaks things down in these dichotomies. So extroversion versus introversion. How outward focused and social are you versus introverted, inward and focused. It doesn't mean, I hope you watch the video of the guy hiding in the bathroom stall, right? Because he can be very outward focused. He can very much do something extrovertedly. I can do this too, but I need time to reflect and come back to myself. I do not get energy from being with other people. It sucks the energy out of me, right? So an extroverted gets energy from others, and an introvert feels like energy is being sucked out by others. All right, then we have sensing versus intuition, how you take in information. So how concrete, practical facts, details are you looking for versus abstract patterns, possibilities, big picture. Thinking and feeling, how you make decisions, right? So are you doing it on a logical, impersonal analysis, or are you doing it based on your harmony with people? And then judging and perceiving how we approach the outer world, looking for at being organized versus spontaneous and open-ended. And what I find very interesting is these kind of form some groupings. So you can take, I have a Myers-Briggs short version test that you can take, and these kinds of things will help us know maybe not know what career we should have, that's too simplistic, but they look at like how you score. So let's say I scored INFJ. They find that many people who go into helping professions of psychologists or counselors, they score the same as that. So when you do a career assessment or one of these tests, you're scoring like other people who like to do that job. And I can give you a very strong example. It wasn't with the Myers-Briggs, it was with the 16PF, which you'll learn about this week. It's also a dichotomy. It just has more traits. It has 8 things it's looking at times 2 is 16. That's why it's the 16PF. And I worked with a professor who did a lot of research in this area. And so he gave it to all of us when we were doing our masters. And this is when we had these old transparencies where you could put one person's slide on top of another. And he was going through the whole class. There was about 25 of us. And everybody's profile was like not exactly the same numbers, but the same patterns. And then there was me, right? So I was getting a master in clinical counseling psychology, but I was much more interested in research than becoming a counselor. And it showed up in that profile quite heavily, right? And so you just people score similarly who end up doing similar jobs later. You're also going to look at the big 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? So, and this was done by Alpert and Obert in 1936, a long time ago, but it's still really used today. And this is where we have, you're going to actually do the big 5 inventory here next. But here we have openness, conscientiousness, extroversion, agreeable, and neuroticism. So openness is how much do you like things to be routine versus spontaneous. Conscientious is how impulsive, disorganized are you versus disciplined and careful. Extroversion and introversion, you kind of already know. Agreeable, how suspicious and uncooperative versus trusting and helpful are you. And neuroticism is how calm and confident versus anxious and pessimistic. And I can tell you in my children that my daughter is very low on conscientiousness, very low on agreeableness, and it makes living with that person very difficult, right? Because you have a suspicious, uncooperative, impulsive, and disorganized child causing quite a bit of havoc for the other people in the family. So you can kind of see where you are on these in this next activity. So you're going to pause the video and you can go to this website, and I would like for you to take this big 5. I brought this up, it should look like this. You can even choose if you want a different language, and you can choose if you would like to compare your personality to others, and then it takes a bit of time to go through. It's a lot of questions, so it is going to take you a little bit of time to go through, and then you want to keep your results so that you can use this when you work on your project this week. So go ahead and do that. And then I kind of talked about this a little bit. I have another site for you, is after you have done your personality assessment, you can go to this website and see how do your traits match up with your career interests. And so I'd like you to just write a little summary of that. What do you think? Any backup plan in case your dream of becoming a YouTube sensation doesn't pan out, right? And a guidance counselor, hunting and gathering, right? You only had 2 choices. Now we have so many choices, and there's a lot of people feel when they have, I don't know if you've had a meeting with your guidance counselor. When I was a kid, there was a lot of people feeling like, oh, this person is closing down my options, and I don't think anybody's trying to do that. What I'm trying to have you see is how does your basic personality match up with people who are doing that job, right? Do I have a profile like a dentist? Do I have a profile like an architect? Who am I similar to? And how does that help me maybe think about my choices and what I want to study? So an interesting thing for you to do, you can just just when you turn your stuff in, show me you did this and kind of show me what you're thinking about. And lastly is on the College Board, you'll see the week 25 personality quiz, just a way. I left this all week because maybe you want to do those other 2 assignments first. So this will be easier if you do the trait theories and measuring personality and then take that little quiz. So you can finish that quiz by the end of the week and upload it, or you can just go take it right now and see exactly how you've done. So what are you uploading to this assignment? Upload the notes you took, show me that you did the personality assessment, and show me that you're thinking about how your personality matches with your careers. And then you can use the rest of what we've done this week when you do your personality project. All right, have a great week. Keep sending me your questions and